So again, thank you very much, everybody, for signing in. It's a pleasure to have you here. I am Calypse Agbosangaya, as you can see on the name there. I often say the PhD is not my name. I remember when I was studying in Finland, they often said PhD stands for permanent head damage. And that gave me a little negative taste about PhD. Anyway, I'm kidding. Yeah, but I have a doctorate in epidemiology. I work for the government, but this is what my desire is, stuff like this. And we'll be talking about this and going through a few points that I have and on purpose. And then the floor will be open for questions if you have. Please mute if I didn't mute it. Everything is supposed to be mute. I'm not sure how this thing works. Please mute. It's supposed to be mute on arrival. Please mute your mic if you can, so we won't get noise from. And once more, thank you so much for signing in. Okay, this is better. I'll give another minute or two, please. Just be patient. There are folks who usually sign in later on. But in the meantime, we have, who do we have? Uncle Steve, my able and one and only wife. Well, I have one wife, of course. Precious. I call her Pretty Precious. And there's Irene and Uncle Rodrigue. 608. Thank you so much. I know that it's gone far and wide. If your name is not there, I probably won't be able to recognize it. I won't be able to tell. So if you can, maybe on a message section, you drop me a message, please. And apart from the talk, I'm going to give my email address so you can drop me an email. Look, the best thing, what I look forward to is feedback. Feedback is very important. And not just feedback about the discussion, but, questions that you have or other points, suggestions for things I could incorporate in the talks. And this, we started 2 weeks ago. This is a weekly talk now. And the feedback has been great. People are really blessed. So yeah, we look forward to continuing. I see Uncle Gerald has joined. Elvin is in here. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. So at this point, I guess we may as well kick off. Again, Calypse, thank you very much for joining in. I would say that many times because I really can't thank you enough. They say one man doesn't make a village, however large his house is. So it doesn't matter the information overload I have. If I don't have people who are supporting, with whom I'm discussing, it's actually useless. So thank you very much for being a part of this discussion. Today, again, we'll be talking about purpose, finding your mission in life. And as we go through, I would check on folks who are joining in just to appreciate them for being a part of this talk today. I'd like to start by mentioning that, like I said earlier on, I'm an epidemiologist by training, but my passion is to, I call it, the one word that describes it is illumination, is to illuminate, to give people the aha moment where they can find their place in the world, their place of manifestation. And I do that through, for instance, talking. We're having a discussion now, but the other aspect, the other thing that I do is writing. It's a great passion of mine. I've written 3 books this far. I should say we, because my wife has been very instrumental in all of them. So the first one is choices, focus, vision. These are all aspects that are things that are very intricate. I'm passionate about them. And I can't tell you enough about the books. I remember when I wrote Choices, a fellow came here visiting, picked up a copy, went home, read it. They're very small volumes. So he read the first few pages. He called me back the same evening. I was like, dude, can I have a few copies? So I said, oh, you already got one. What's happening? He said, no, I have 3 kids. I need a copy each for my kids because they need this information. This is information they don't have, you won't find in schools. So I would encourage you, go to Amazon. If you don't have a copy of these books, go to Amazon and grasp a copy. At some point, we'll be able to, we'll go through one of them. We'll take one at a time and look at some topics and some discussion points and really go through. Again, we'll be talking about purpose today, purpose. And what purpose is all about. And the essence of this discussion is really not to give a lecture. What I do is to unravel a few, I'll call them components. It's like breaking a knot from its shell. I'll break it open just to let you and I kind of ponder over these points as we go through and make decisions, find where we are in the train of life and see where adjustments are needed. Now, I got this, I thought I should highlight this information from Dr. Monroe, that all humans are in search of a few things. And one of them is identity. Identity is who am I? The Grand Collider that was built a few billion years in Europe just to discover how the Earth started is based on this question. Who am I? Where am I from? The source of life. Where do we come from? Purpose is why am I here? And we're going to delve into this a little bit more. And also potential. What can I do? And these points are all related because when you start digging into your purpose in life, it is often because you find out that you can do much more than what you are doing at a particular time. And of course, destiny is what am I capable of? In other words, where can my potential take me to? And this extends to where I am going, but for the purpose of this discussion, we'll limit it to that. And I thought to highlight the fact that purpose is really about alignment. You know, you may think that it is about finding this magic bullet. Yes, it is. This magic one thing that we can do, or it's about not settling for less. It is. But oftentimes we have a lot of things that are going on in our lives. And I see purpose as, or a search for purpose as a search for alignment. Because really, in one of the discussions we had, I think last week, Saturday, I did mention that as humans, we are always doing something. I mean, if you're not doing something, you're probably just resting, which is doing something, just sitting down. So alignment has to do with going to the original intent of creation. And that is why we have these questions about identity. If I'm a Christian, I believe that I'm made by God. Humans are made by God. And if in the intricate nature of that creation, there is the purpose of man. So God made man and gave him a purpose. And when we are just like a train that is running on its rails, when we deviate from the path where we are supposed to work on, there will be indicators within us. And how do we identify that? I put up these pictures just to throw out some laughter. You know, if you wake up in the morning to go to work, the alarm clock rings and you're banging it and you feel like, what the heck, why am I going to this work again? It is probably because there's an alignment issue. There's a problem with alignment. In other words, a problem with purpose. If you find yourself, and in fact, there's a study I checked online, and there's actually a study that shows that 85% of employees actually wish they were doing something else. So there's a dissatisfaction component. And again, these are indicators of lack of purpose. Why are we interested in purpose? What's the essence? I like this quote from Pablo Picasso. It says, the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. So we find meaning when we identify our gifts. But the ultimate goal and purpose of life is to give it away. However, many of us live like we are living in an accident. You try, career-wise, we stumble over stuff and then discover later on that it wasn't meant for me, and we don't give it a thought to things or things before we get into. We jump into. There are people whom I remember, for instance, I'll give an example of myself. For undergrad, I studied microbiology. I originally come from Cameroon. And I remember how I got into microbiology. I was sleeping, I was just laying in bed, and my elder brother, who's in the US, we're back in Cameroon then. He said, hey, the forms are here. Do you want me to fill the form? I said, yeah, I fill it. God bless me, I had good grades, so I could take any course I wanted to. So he said, you know what, I'm going to apply for microbiology because I'm doing microbiology. I said, yeah, put whatever you put in there, I'll do it. If he had put math, I would have ended up with a degree in math. If he put physics, I don't know, I'd have ended up with a degree in physics. And life, if I look at that moment, it is really honestly by accident. There wasn't an intentional decision to pursue a career in microbiology. There are many people who are chasing fame, money, and many other things, beautiful cars, which are all great. Money is a tool we all need it in life. Fame, I'm not sure about that. But really, the problem with this is after we acquire it, because it doesn't align with the purpose for which we were created, the original intent that was in us, that was established when we were created, we find emptiness at the end. Your purpose is defined by your gift. Again, Picasso says the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Your purpose is not just in your gift, but your assignment. So in this, what I'm saying is, when you find your gift leads you to your assignment, because it leads you to the place where it is being used. And just to give practical examples that we have every day at home, a TV set is made to display images. A fridge is made to cool things, put food inside and it gets cooled up. But of course, you can put a cup of water on top of a fridge and it will stay there. It will perform that duty. However, it is made to cool things. The intent of the designer is not to keep a cup on top of the fridge, but to cool things. When we're growing back in Cameroon, we used to have these big TV sets, not like the flat screens we have nowadays. And they were really almost as big as a fridge, So sometimes you go to a house or visit a friend and you find that the TV set, which is meant to display images, is actually like clothes are hung on it. And then when they want to watch TV, everybody will take their clothes out. So really, and some of us live life like that. We do things only to discover later on that this is not my square peg in a square hole. We are not in alignment. A stove is meant to produce heat for a purpose, for cooking. The furnace also produces heat for warming. So sometimes we can even identify our gifts to produce heat, but it has to be placed and put in the direction where it is meant to be. If you use a stove to warm your house, to produce heat and warm the house, it will probably take up quite some energy and a lot of effort. And so why I'm talking about all this is just to help us to, as we discuss and move on, to find where we are at. This is the essence of this discussion, find where we are at and see if there's need for realignment. Looking a little bit detailedly on purpose, I was thinking about it, and to me, there are two ways we can look at purpose. So there's the ultimate purpose of man. Again, I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible and the content of the Bible. So I believe that based on the Bible, the ultimate purpose of man is to glorify God, and not just to sing praises to God, but to, in what we do, in being aligned to the purpose and the desire that God has for us, that is how we glorify God. We have specific purpose. Apart from the ultimate purpose to glorify God, we have specific purpose which has to do with our own personal intent. You see, here, just to give us an illustration, you can have oils. You have, back at home we call, you have olive oil. You have, I don't know, other vegetable oils. When we cook, like at my house, we have different kinds of oils at our house. When my wife cooks, she doesn't use olive oil to make stew. She uses vegetable oil. They are all oils, but the specific task is different. And that is the essence of this discussion, to get us to a place where we are able to not just identify what our ultimate goal is and purpose is in life, but our specific task, our specific calling. And we should remember that purpose is not accomplished except it is tied to identity. This is very important. Purpose is tied to identity, like I talked of oil, olive oil, the TV. When Apple makes a phone, there's the Apple company as a company gives instructions on how to using the phone, on how it can be it performs at optimal level. In order to use this phone well, don't leave it on freezing ice outside. Those instructions, or anything that is made by humans, there are instructions that are set forth from the creator or the maker of the product that identifies what its purpose is. And so when I say purpose is tied to identity, it is that we can't escape the origin of us in order to find our purpose. We always have to go back to the creator. There are many people today who are stuck in, because of a sexual identity, getting the best car, getting the very expensive cars, because it gives them a sense of not just fulfillment, but identity. And that is the essence why people will pay twice, thrice the price for the same pair of shoe, because it is made by Nike, it is made by Adidas. We want to identify with the individual, the name of the person, Adidas. How do we identify our purposes? How do you identify your purpose? I call it the seed principle. Purpose is uniquely identified, not by looking outside, but by looking inside. Because if you think of us as humans, everybody was created. And as in Genesis 8:22, it says, as the earth remains, seed time and harvest time shall not cease. You see, God does it so that we come as seeds on earth. So even Christ had to be born as a seed. He says that seed that shall be born of thee shall be called the Son of God. It's something that your purpose is always hidden inside you. My purpose is hidden inside me. In Jeremiah 1, it says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet to the nation. That was the purpose for which Jeremiah, the young man Jeremiah, was made. Before he was formed. And that's true for all of us. Our purpose is not outside. Our purpose is inside. So it's a travesty if we move around searching outside for our purpose. If at all there's a reason to look outside, it should be to confirm what you have inside. So watching Kim Kardashian and looking at what they do every day, hoping that we'll become like them, often doesn't result in identification of who we are truly.